Good morning, everybody. As you can see, we are.
It's a good morning already.
It's a good morning already. We are gobbler free. Welcome to P&M in the AM, minus the P today. So I guess I'm hosting this.
Can we get T-shirts that say that minus the P?
Yeah, we can. As you can see, my big-headed partner is not here today. He will be doing his duties for Edge of Philly Sports today. He'll be covering those mighty Wings down in South Philly. So he could not be here this morning. So, of course, it's me and, of course, the affectionate Al Zaffiri, a.k.a. the voice of God. Welcome, Al. Good morning.
Good morning and good early feeling morning because I know I have a feeling we're going to have a couple
late
bloomers this morning just with the whole time change. Mike, I mean, good morning, Jamie.
See, look, she just rolled out of bed, too.
Yeah. She might be still in bed for all you know. She's just looking
Probably.
at her phone. What's up, Jamie? But let me ask you a question real quick. The whole time change thing. This thing used to really affect me, even a little bit now as I'm older. But even when I was younger, did the time change like kind of throw you off a lot?
Yeah, we always look forward for the extra hour in November? And I hate it when you lost the hour this time of year. So, and I still hate it because, like, last night, man, couldn't get to sleep. We were watching our Flyers get manhandled down in Tampa, and try to go to sleep, and you're sitting there. Next thing you know, you're like, it's only going to it's about 1:45. All of a sudden, it's 3:45.
Well,
you're like, wow.
That's the other thing is gauging your like. I did that last night myself. Just like all right, if I get this done, I can get to bed until get good 7.5 hours. No dummy, it's going to be 6.5 at best at this point. So,
I mean, I think it was kind of cool for the bars. I think they stay open. They stayed open.
Well, yeah,
that extra hour.
That part I wouldn't bother me much. But no, I'm talking like when I was younger, especially during my days like playing sports, things like that. Like,
yeah.
I hated early games on daylight savings time, like playing games early or like basketball games like at 11 o'clock in the morning because I felt like for whatever that hour just threw me off.
Usually around this time, though, baseball practices usually start in our area around this time. Mm-hmm. So, and of course, weekends are made for practice. So, definitely coming up.
It's funny. Here's Dives, and he brings up the well-known thing around EOP. My favorite day of the year, and just because of the name makes it kind of funny to me, is legal tampering in the NFL, which starts tomorrow, of course. And here's Dives right now, Mr. Crockpot there himself saying, "Bring me Xavier McKinney, Howie, get her done," which we'll touch on a lot of those different ideas.
Yeah, a couple defensive ends being shopped too by the Birds.
But let me ask that question, like just how I find it very amusing, the term legal tampering day. Like, why don't you just like I always say, why don't you just start it on Monday?
Yeah, I mean,
I wondered this thing. This is one thing I wondered. Was this a way of the NFL getting ahead of the Adam Schefters of the world?
Probably.
Like, because they would be tweeting out, what we're already seeing for the most part right now. But Monday they'd be tweeting out like, oh, I see this. And then like probably cause a little controversies. They're like, well, let them have those 3 days to talk. Let them have those 3 days to get pen to paper up until the moment it has to be done. Like, we all remember like certain things, like certain players that we thought were coming that ended up not coming.
To me, I mean, the thing that's been, I guess, kind of boggled my mind yesterday with this was Josh Sweat's name being put out there. And they're trying to go after, I think the rumor has it is the guy from New York, Brian Ruff or Bruce Ruff, whatever his name is, or Bruce Huff. That's what it is. And I'm like, really? They're kind of the same player. They're really kind of the same player. I think maybe
because he's younger. I think.
Well, I mean, Sweat's not that old. He's 26. You know what I mean? Like, I could see them trying to do that if they're trying to get rid of Hassan Reddick. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. It just they have so many needs on that side of the ball.
And not to get into
Bryce Huff, okay.
Not to get into the behind the scenes stuff, but part of me as human has to wonder, does part of what happened at the end of the season last year Like moving, like, do you think they're going to be moving on to guys that maybe if they had a better year last year that this wouldn't be happening? And I'm not talking about from the play standpoint. Maybe some guys who were kind of malcontents, I guess is a good way of putting it. Or maybe
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not saying Josh Rowe was a malcontent. I'm just saying like maybe people they thought it would be good to move on from because of that standpoint of things that went down
but
at the end of the season,
I don't know
or
because
just overall changing the defense because of Vic Fangio or whatever.
I don't think that is it either because when Gannon was here 2 years ago, he ran Vic Fangio's defense, and Hassan Reddick had a great year in that defense. So, nah, I don't think it was that. I think it was more of a disconnect between the coaching staff and the defense. And then by the time they were able to, you know, uh, I'm saying Eagles won't be able to keep both Sweat younger, won't cost them as much, and Reddick better rusher probably take the best offer. But yeah, well, here's the thing: they don't have to. They don't. A lot of people don't realize this. Hassan Reddick's going to be a free agent after this year,
Mm-hmm.
so he can go anywhere he wants. I just don't feel the need that they need to trade him right now because you don't have good enough defensive ends. I mean, hell, they're talking about bringing in Chase Young.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about
I
bringing Chase
actually,
Younger.
I mentioned that myself because I could see the Flyers trying to pull that with Chase Young. I'm not a huge
The
Chase Young
Flyers.
fan. Flyers, the Eagles.
See,
Morning, this morning.
you need one of these.
Hey, watching that Flyers game last night, it's haunting me right now.
What's up, man?
But I can see the Eagles trying to bring Chase Young in, a guy who's younger, who has that playmaker ability, but he's more of a bargain than some other guys out
Listen, I
there.
don't think he's going to get picked. I don't think like they're not going to pay a whole lot for him. My biggest bugaboo with the Eagles right now is the drafting, the clamoring for the drafting of sons. Wait, I
This
don't
is
get
what
it.
I don't
I
want.
thought the GM did a great job drafting. Why are there so many knees on defense? Can any non-homer explain this to me? Oh,
Well,
here
I
we
mean,
go.
if you were to talk about the drafting, I mean, first part, nobody said he did a great job drafting up until the last few years, right? Are we agreeing on that?
Yeah.
This is not being a homer. This is being truthful. Matty B forgets, I think, sometimes that I was not one of my main reasons of not being happy with Howie Roseman up until more recently. And I'm not saying I was happy. If anything, you can go check the records. I said it was good to see him just making the right moves,
Well,
number one. Number two, the defensive players that he has drafted in the last few years are still there, and they're not talking about moving on from them. Because you have Jordan Davis, you have Jalen Carter, all those guys. We're talking about Hassan Reddick, who doesn't want to. I'm not saying doesn't want to be here. Who wants more money or probably wants to move on because I don't think you can keep him for that one more year.
I think you can. I think you can just
No,
listen.
I mean you could, but does he not play? Does he sit out? Does it become an issue?
Listen, if he sits out, he doesn't get paid. So, and then the Eagles still hold his rights. You know what I mean? Like he's got to, if he sits out the week 8, then hey, let him sit out till week 8. Like that's going to be on him if he chooses to do that. I'm not sensing that from Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick wants to make more money. The Eagles can look at him and say, "Look, listen, dude, we can't afford to pay you that money. Just play with us." Boom. I agree here with Anthony Chase Young. He can get it.
I'm listen. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Chase Young's good at all, but
He can get after the quarterback, but that's about it.
my point is, and he has the playmaker ability, but he's cheap, which his price tag's going to be much lower. So you can, I think he's easily linked to the Eagles because the Eagles have a lot of holes to fill,
And they got a lot of money to fill those holes.
but at the same time, when you have a lot of holes to fill, even a lot of money can get tight when you start filling it with big time
The question,
players.
I'm a little confused with really. As I was saying before, I read Maddie's thing. Reddick could get in that dangerous Tobias territory if he gets paid like a top edge rusher. He could, but I don't think the Eagles are going to pay him.
Honestly, and we'll talk about it for a second. I mean, does I know it's not your money, but how it could affect the overall team and the ability to bring other players in, knowing how much they need to spend right now, how much they need to fill, how many gaps they need to fill. Does paying Reddick like the highest paid edge rusher, or at least one of the top highest paid edge rushers, make sense right now?
I mean, they could give it to him. I mean, they have the money. Like this is what the Eagles are not like against the salary cap. Matter of fact, with them cutting Avonte Maddox, which this was a little weird to me. We'll get into that in a second, Al. like they're going to be close to like $60 million under the salary, like $66 million under the salary cap.
Yeah.
So they could technically
But
really sign him.
true. That's
But
true. But $66 million is a lot. But at the same time, you sign one $22 million a year contract, and now you're down a third.
yeah, but here's the thing though.
And you got a lot of holes to fill. So
No, you're looking at it the wrong way. Only the money for that year is going to kick in against the cap. So that's why I'm. So say if he signs a $15 million extension, he does one. They add another year on, and they pay him $30 million, which is like 15 a year. Okay, they only 15 is going to count against this year, or they can do it to where he gets most of it in a signing bonus, and then because Howie's really good at doing it. Howie's really good at kicking some stuff back down the line. You know what I mean? And that's why if you take a look, since he's been the GM, every few so years the Eagles have to have a clunker because they got to get out from him kicking stuff down the line.
Mhm.
So now he's finally getting out. You figure after this year, I don't expect Fletcher Cox to be back. All case in points is that he's going to retire. You got Brandon Graham coming back for his farewell. I don't know, man. I just don't. I don't see them. I don't see them doing the necessary things that I don't see them doing what they need to do. I feel personally. I feel like Reddick is a guy who's earned it.
Mhm.
He's earned the upgrade. Like again, if it goes around the league that you're only going to pay guys for the first couple of years of a contract, and then you're going to look to dump them afterwards, you're not going to get people who are going to want to come here.
Mhm.
No matter how good the team is, they're going to go. Why am I going to go there if it's not a 4 year? They're going to offer me 4 years. I'll be lucky if I see 2 there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want that stigma. So, I mean, I think Reddick should get the money. I don't think listen, I would extend him another year. I would give him another, keep the remaining year, throw another year on for him, make him the highest paid. It's not going to hurt you because you can definitely get out of it within 2 seasons.
I mean, you could also work in like what I call easily attainable incentives, things like that. So it
in
doesn't
dummy years.
hurt the salary cap. I'm not a big fan of the dummy years as much as everybody else is because, like
I
you
am.
said, it just feels like at 1 year, it's like you're always going to have a bad year because,
Oh, listen, I would take 8 great years and then have a bad year. You know what I mean? It's going to happen.
I mean, look at Denver, all the moves they have to make because they have
that's another guy.
that dead
Justin
cap.
Simmons is sitting out there. Like, I'm sorry. I know Dimes wants Xavier McKinney. I don't. You bring me Justin Simmons.
Yeah. Anthony saying I would keep Reddick and try to trade Huff and sign Patrick Queen or sign a safety and sign Swift. I mean, that sounds like
that sounds real good, but I got to feel
it's hard for me to say Reddick because of the age difference. I mean, it's a 4-year gap. Huff you could sign and keep him. I mean, how much? I have to look at Huff.
The only issue is they got to get somebody on the opposite side. You know what I mean? Like if you trade,
I mean, that's like trade Huff.
Try to trade Huff.
I mean,
try to trade for Huff. Yeah, but that's the whole problem. Like it's got to be one or the other. You know what I mean?
Well, Matty said, I would take talent at this point. We can work the elite part later. Well, listen, every guy's going to be elite at every position, but talent, no. I mean, and talent and
ask Matty real quick. Matt, who would you take? What would you do in this situation? I would love to hear what Matty would do.
We all know the first person he would.
Well, no, I'm not talking about firing Howie.
Trading
I just want to make sure to see where he's at with this because what's up in San Diego? But yeah, I would definitely want to see what Matty would do with this because it sounds like they're going to get rid of one or the other, and to me, it sounds like they're going to keep Reddick.
Mm-hmm.
So if Huff's on the move, maybe they might get more back for trading Josh Sweat too.
Yeah, and we talked about Burns from Carolina. Now he'd be a high, commodity.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think they're franchising him.
They could. They absolutely could. But
I would love to.
If I'm Carolina right now, like I'm trying to keep. I don't know if I'm spending that kind of money on one play, but then again, they're stupid. I mean, they're in such dire straits. You like, what was it? Was it how many years did they sign what's his name? Our running back from the year before.
Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders, yeah. How many?
They signed him for 4 years.
Was it 4 years or 5? I thought it was
4.
Okay,
4 years.
I mean, you sign a running back $6 million for it. I mean, no offense to Miles, great guy, but way overpaid.
That's why he was down there. Look at his numbers?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, as much as people want to give the Eagles O-line saying that they're old and they're this and they're that, look at Miles Sanders' numbers from a year ago. Tell me he doesn't miss going behind those. Tell me he doesn't miss going behind that line. To me, like I said, the one thing Al, I don't know if it's getting in your craw, but the one thing that's getting on in my craw, especially with some Eagle fans, not all, but some, is them wanting to draft and bring in kids of our former players.
Well,
Trotter Jr. That's all I've been hearing about. Spending Trotter Jr. is not a second round pick.
isn't there another one out there?
Runyon's kid,
Runyon's kid.
but he's a free agent.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, bring him in and he can play guard. No, there's a guy in Miami who's much better. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see the Eagles. Stop and think about this for a second, Al. I think this could go a long way.
I don't like doing that.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Eagles sign Christian Wilkinson from Miami. I would love.
I see a lot of guys like I of course I left my notes and I am so thrown off today. This whole
Pat not being here really threw us off.
Yeah, I know, our fearless leader. No, like I had a list and like I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Like looking at, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of Vic Fangio with the defense and like guys he used to work with, guys that he really liked, guys who were productive, like Van Ginkel. There's one that I brought up a couple of weeks back, who's a linebacker who's good, like kind of going back what Maddie said, not elite, but very talented and very cost effective. I think he's only gonna probably get like $5 million a year, give or take, and that he could help really start to add solidification of that linebacker core. I don't think they go for Patrick Queen. I don't see them spending that kind of money on a linebacker. I just can't. I wholeheartedly cannot imagine it. But what I could imagine is jumping on a plane and heading to Brazil with Philly Sports Trips. They have it out, my friend. They have it.
I just want to go to the beach there.
Well, who doesn't? But the Birds takeover in Brazil is real, and I'm not just talking about going down there to catch a game for a couple days and then heading back like they would tend to do in some places. They're making this a long trip for you, longer than normally you would be down there for. But they're talking about going to Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, the whole 9 yards, taking in some of the sites as well as other opportunities, and catching an amazing historical Eagles game down there while you're in there in South America. So you can take in the local Brazilian culture and all that fun stuff, as well as just watching the Eagles game. So don't forget they got that. They also have some Union games. You headed down to Nashville in April. There's an opportunity right there for you. And the Phillies trips are out. Of course, the one in London has already been out for a while.
I'm still thinking about this. Might be a good one.
Boston, Fenway Park, absolutely. Go with phillysportstrips.com. Travel like the pros. Travel with phillysportstrips.com. Let's see. Let's get to some more of these
comments.
Let's see. And thank you, everybody. It's actually a lot more people this morning than I expected already because I figured everybody's alarm clocks and the internal alarm clocks weren't going to go off. I think the bigger problem is the lack of big picture with their younger guys. They rarely see the field, and they have to stop with the old vet signing band-aids, draft them, and let the kids play. I'm glad you brought this up because I talked a couple of weeks ago during the combine, I guess it was, and they were talking to Howie and everything, and they said, or they were either talking to Howie about Nick or Nick, they were together or whatever it was. And he said, he pretty much said, I told him to let the young guys play. And that kind of made me scratch my head on a Nick Sirianni standpoint. I know Matty B is going to pick on our GM a bit, but I'm going to pick on our coach a little bit more here. And again, he's going to say, well, who hires a coach? But why do you have to be told to let the young guys play? Like, being the outcome of what we knew, and I guess this is a little bit of a hindsight situation, like, wouldn't it have been more beneficial if they had, like, a lot of these young guys who didn't play very much get more time, even if they were losing, because they're still getting slapped around anyway. Well,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the two cornerbacks from a year ago, Ricks and Ringo, I think they got so much valuable playing time last year that actually Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks actually started to look not that bad at the end of the year. That's another thing too. Like, don't be surprised you see them move on from James Bradbury too.
Yeah.
I don't think they're
Oh,
going to.
listen, I think they would if they could. Let me ask you a question. Is there any part of your brain that goes, did James Bradbury have a really bad year, or did James Bradbury kind of get stuck in a problem with the defense? Like, was it all James Bradbury? Do you put
I
any?
think it was 50-50.
Yeah.
50% of it was on him, because you're a veteran guy. Like, you should be able to, you know, you shouldn't have to depend on a defensive coordinator. If you knew the defensive coordinator wasn't calling the right stuff, then you got to learn to take it over.
Yeah.
You got to have a certain feel for the game.
Yeah, and you got Nolan Smith, you got you saw Jalen Carter get really tired. I mean, that's kind of happens with big guys in their first year in
Well,
the
that
NFL,
happens with anybody coming out of their first year from college to the
especially the
NFL.
big men, defensive, offensive linemen.
Yeah,
I mean, Sidney Brown getting injured does not help us to see what we could get from him.
I'll tell you what, he was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminded me of a younger, like Wes Hopkins.
Okay,
That's who he reminds me of.
it's a pretty big comp.
It is, because to me, that's all I look like. No, Joey Sullivan checking in.
Hey
What's up,
guys, I'm
Joe?
expecting Huff, Simmons, and maybe a middle price linebacker like a Jolly, who played for Fangio, and then a mid price safety like a Chin. Chin would be probably less expensive than the rest. But if you look at his stats every year, he has declined a little bit. So that's why he would be.
I'm telling you now. Listen. The Eagles love Justin Simmons. They've already tried to trade for him twice. He's going to be an Eagle. He is going to be an Eagle.
I agree, but when the window of winning is closing, one is enough. What? How much do we feel like this window is closing? That's my question. Do you feel like? I feel like this team's fairly on the young side.
Yeah, it is. They're replacing.
I mean, Jalen Hurts is young, and he's not like, it's not like he's an aging quarterback that we're going to start seeing a decline in. Hopefully not, at least I should say. Your O line, which we're going to talk about a major piece there, because I want to see your guys' opinion on the loss of a certain 6'2", that we'll chat about a little bit with his retirement coming through. But what window? Like, that's my question. Like, I don't think the window of opportunity for the Eagles is that.
Look at the NFC. The NFC's a 3-horse race.
Yeah.
I
think the Cowboys are going to try to. They're going to try to popsicle stick this thing together.
Yeah.
Run it back with Dak. They're running it back with their coach.
I don't know. They got to pay Dak. They got to pay. That's going to be an interesting.
They have one of the few teams that are over the salary cap with the cap moving.
Yes, it is. They're over the cap. But if you take a look at it, they got to pay him. They also got to pay Michael Parsons. So who's going to get paid on that team? I mean, Michael wants to be an Eagle anyway. So I can see he might have to chalk up some money to AJ Brown, or AJ Brown might have to tell him, you're going to have to get a new number, one or the other.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I just.
Let's see. Dive say Howie caught lightning in a bottle way too often with some older players, and it's biting him in the ass. Yeah, I mean, that's the 2017 year. You brought guys in who were older, that they had good rotation. They all played. Listen, a lot of those guys played really good years, higher than trajectory would show you, based on normal tendencies. But and I think he's trying to go to that well one too many times, and maybe he'll learn finally that. That's my thing. Is like, again, going back to Matty B, beating on Howie, I'll give credit where credit's due. His drafting has gotten better over the last few years, but I also kind of take it away from him. His drafting is what it should have been doing. Like, it's what it should have been happening over the last few years.
Well, I mean, how could he not screw up those picks? I mean, think about it.
No.
Think about it.
He absolutely could have screwed up those picks.
No. Think about it, because really, if you're looking at it, when he drafted Devontae Smith, you knew you were getting one of two players. You were either getting Devontae Smith or you were going to get Michael Parsons. You know what I mean? So that's a win-win.
But I'm saying they could have easily. Because how many times has he gone to be the smartest man in the room years before that, and took not the Heisman winning trophy kind of caliber kind of guy, or one of the most prolific defensive players coming out of that draft? No, he goes for a guy that maybe
that's
you
what I'm saying.
thinking. So yeah, he absolutely could. That's why I don't give him so much credence. I give him like kind of a little bit of credence. Okay, He's
So
improved.
you got like 1 foot in, 1 foot out on
Well,
him.
that's my thing. Is like he improved, but he improved in ways that we all been clamoring for, and that's kind of why I look at that.
Well, he stopped taking guys from like Southwest Texas State and then started going
That's
into the
my
power.
thing is
You know,
he went to NFL ready programs. I mean,
right.
like it's not.
I mean, but I mean, you got to give him kudos though, because he tried to put his own stamp on it, realized that he had
I
to
don't give a
adjust.
shit about his stamp. I really don't. Like
But
this whole putting your own stamp on everything.
but every
makes zero sense
GM
to
does
me.
that. Every GM does that.
I get it.
Come
but
on, just 2 years ago, John Lynch was the top GM, and now look at him.
But
Now the 49 fans are questioning him.
Yeah, but my point is,
They all do it.
This whole stamp is, but it's also a copycat league. I'm not saying you have to copy everything everybody does, but at the same time, like if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like why? Like there's no like this whole like listen. At times you're going to get lucky too. You're gonna have to step outside and like you can't go and get every Alabama and Georgia guy. That's just
No,
not
you
going to
can't
work
do
out.
that. You got to step up.
But at the same time, like it's that well wasn't going to enough at all. Then he's using the well. You know, and listen, even number one, how many times have we seen number one, number two, number three, number four, number five type players just not panning out in the NFL? So it's a crapshoot no matter what you do. Dive say, what do we think about Saquon Barkley? Unless he takes a considerable pay cut, I just don't see it. I don't see that happening at all. I think that is smoke screen trying to drive up the market, trying to irritate New York. I heard the rumors that the Eagles were on him discussion last year before they franchise tagged him. No. Injury prone? No, thank you. I don't see them paying that kind of money for a running back. I just don't see it happening. And when the O line's good, and we'll talk about that again in a moment, but why do you need to have a $9,000 a year or $9 million a year running back? I mean, he is. Listen, the New York Giants kicked themselves in the dinghy when they drafted him because they were at so many needs. I don't care how good your running back is. If your O-line is trash and your quarterback's mediocre at best, the best running back in the world is going to be garbage. And I feel bad for guys like him who have to go. Like, people get upset when guys like, I'm not going there. I'm just not going to play there. Like Eli Manning did with San Diego and the Giants many years ago. And guys said, like, if I get drafted to there, I'm not going to play. I don't blame them as much because one of the problems about being drafted is you're going to get being a good draft opportunity. You're going to be drafted high, and who are the teams that are drafting high?
The bad ones.
Yeah, usually.
But here's the thing, though. Now, I think opposite of you. I think he is going to sign here, and I think the Eagles will give him money. And the only reason why, one, they have a better offensive line. Two, did he get hurt? Yeah. But he's also playing on one of the worst surfaces in the league up there at MetLife Stadium. That's not he's playing on turf.
Don't worry, they're going to change that because the World Cup's coming there or whatever.
Yeah. So here you go. So this is where you would sign him in here. I think you would sign him in here. Matty B, listen, I'm agreeing with him on this with the backup tight end. We cannot go another year with Katera.
I don't think they do. I honestly, this is going to be the one thing that people aren't talking about. Matty B, I'm glad you brought it up. And for the people who are listening and not watching at home, what about the offense? Who are the running backs? Who is the center? Who's the backup tight end?
Well, the center is going to be
who's a slot receiver?
Cam Jurgens.
It's not just the D. I think the offense is not as poor. Is way closer to not being as poor as the defense is. But I'm not as worried about the O-line as some people might be.
Yeah, Cam Jurgens is going to be in there. They're going to put Tyler Steen at that right guard.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go draft or pick somebody up. It wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world I've seen. The running back, I'm not worried about. Again, like I were worried about the first part you say, the offensive line. The offensive line, I'm more worried about because then you can get bring back Swift, or you can.
Like nobody's knocking down his door for his services. This is a bad year to be a running back.
I think it's a bad year to be a running back generally.
Well, look at all the running backs that are out there. I mean, you got guys like Josh Jacobs out there. You got guys like Austin Eckler out there, and Tony Pollard's out there. You have all these running backs that are out there, along with Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. Now, granted, Derrick Henry's probably on the downslope of his career, but this is just a bad year to be a running back. Like DeAndre Swift, I thought had a decent year, but his play kind of tailed off too towards the end of the year last year.
I would not be surprised if they draft with one of their second round picks, depending if they pick with all their picks. And this is why another reason why I think Josh Sweat conversation is being had. I think they're trying to bulk up. I think they're not saying it. They're going to try to compete, but this in the back of their head is not a must-win year in the Eagles. I'm just certain moves, certain conversational pieces, just make me kind of have this inkling. I'm not saying they're not trying to win, but at the same time, I don't think this isn't like a do or die year for them. Like I don't think of.
Oh, I think it is. After last year, come on. After the way they collapsed last year, no, they got to come out. They got to don't get killed.
All right, if they get killed, let's play devil's advocate. Are you gonna get rid of Fangio? Are you gonna get rid of
everybody's gonna be going, dude. Everybody, come on, dude. You don't really think
you can't do that? Are you kidding me? You'll never get another good coordinator here if you fire year after year after year.
Listen, the coach is on the hot seat going into this year.
Again,
they're not going to give him.
If he's on the hot seat now, should have never been brought back.
Why do you think they brought Fangio in here and Kellen Moore in here?
I know
they brought them in here because guess what? If he's not going to be, it's another. They have a security blanket, dude. That's one thing I got to give Roseman, even though Matty doesn't like Roseman. You got to give it to him. He has a backup plan. Fangio's got a head coaching experience.
But I think they're going to try to garner a piece. They're going to try to get a tight end in the draft somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to.
I would love for them to get Brock Bowers, but I think he's going early.
Yeah, my gut feeling is Dive say. My gut feeling says Eagles look to fill holes at safety and linebacker in free agency, then address edge, O-line, cornerback, wide receiver in the draft. I mean, that would make sense, especially the way they draft. I mean, I don't see them changing. I don't see them picking a linebacker first, maybe late second round at best. But I don't even think it's that much, unless somebody really falls in that they can't pass up.
I think if the third round comes around and Jeremiah Trotter Jr.'s there, I can see them doing that. But like a lot of people wanted him to be taken, with the first pick in the second round, or maybe I just don't feel he's a second round talent, to be honest with you.
And just so because of free agency discussions, I don't know if anybody knows late yesterday. It's probably about like a little after midnight last night. Shefty did break. So the Chris Jones is off the market. Chiefs and him have
agreed. Well, he said at the parade he wasn't going nowhere. So
you can say that all you want until you get paid. He agreed 5-year deal that includes $95 million guaranteed. So Chris Jones is not going anywhere, and he will stay. So that was a conversation people were talking about. We all saw all that stuff going on. Maybe that means Snead. That might mean Snead that they can't pay everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they just paid somebody too. They just paid somebody during the week.
So I wonder if Snead's gone. So that might be somebody they look. Howie, if he wants to make that splash this year, could be that guy.
I don't know though. I feel like he's a little bit overrated. He's a little bit overrated. I watched him get beat around. He goes, I would take a second rounder for Reddick or Sweat. Day 2 is loaded with positions of need for the Eagles, and I think it's the strength of this draft.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
But here's the thing, though.
I think they're trying to load up draft picks, and if you're trying to have that many draft picks and you're going to have that many young guys, again, does not scream to me. Guys are like, if you're trying to win this year, you're trying to more get savvy vets, guys you can, more 1-2 year deals. And we've seen a lot of 1-2 year deals with the Eagles when, they're trying to just gap a year, gap a position. We'll see what happens. Bring Howie Jr. here. I don't know what that means. Maybe was that the Lynch comment you said? That might have been a little while back. New reports are saying A.J. Brown wants to be traded. Okay.
I haven't heard that.
That's news to me.
Yeah.
I'll check.
He was just on the radio saying that. Creating shorts of CJG, Justin Simmons, and Bryce Huff today. Yeah. Cool. There you go.
Yeah, guys. If you're missing out on anything, you need some quick hits to learn about these players. You got to check out Dive Shorts on our YouTube channel and all our other social media. It's just they're pardon on the best. And get you caught up so when you go to work tomorrow, you'll sound like you're very educated.
There you go. Ant wants to see the ladies in Brazil. Yeah.
Who doesn't?
You got to go to those beaches down there, man. I heard they're very cheeky.
Okay. Pat, are you back?
Then there's a head coach issue. Who
Yeah,
are the leaders on this team? Things go deeper.
yeah. Well, that's a good question. I mean, they wanted Jalen to step up. I mean, I wonder if that's a reason you're so adamant to bringing BG back. More of a leader standpoint than so much position
Oh
player.
yeah, that's definitely a leadership thing, especially now, like he said.
I mean,
Well,
Fletcher's apparently he's apparently going to retire as well, along with Jason Kelce did.
well, they came in
But you
together,
have
right?
to have turnover. I mean, this is the problem with moving
You
on
can't
from.
keep them forever, guys. Like sooner or later, their bodies are going to break down.
It's
Sooner or
not
later,
even
you got
just
to move
that. Like,
on.
if you can't find out who's going to step up and lead until those guys are not in the
There,
room,
yeah,
you know.
exactly.
But you know, the head coach issue is still an issue to me. And like you said earlier, he's on the hot seat.
Oh, I believe he
If
is.
he's on the hot seat, I don't think he should be back. I don't think he should be on the hot seat before a season starts. Because you know what? Here's one of two things.
If he collapses again, dude, you know he's going.
Well, okay,
So
I
I
agree
mean,
with you, but I'm saying there's a difference between having a total collapse and being gone, but being on the hot seat to begin with. Because if a guy's on the hot seat in my eyes, you make moves that are best for you, not for the team. Because you need to win now. You don't give a crap about next year. You don't give a crap about the year after that. You don't give a crap about signing guys a long-term deal. You just give a crap about the right this moment because you're pushing all your chips in. And that's not what I want from Nick Sirianni. Not looking for a guy to push his chips in and to make mistakes. But you know, we're going to see who can step up, and we don't know who those guys are going to be just yet. But did Fletch imprint enough onto Jordan Davis and hope maybe a Jalen Carter to step up? If he can stay healthy, and Nakobe Dean be the leader that he was in Georgia? Can Dallas Goedert? Can Lane Johnson? These are guys who we're going to have to become part of that leadership fabric. Things go deeper than the D. And did Kelce retire partly because the writing was on the wall of this
no,
group?
he did not look at this and go, "Oh man, this team." I mean, this is a guy who played on a 4-12 team. Like, no, um, this is just
Yeah,
he just didn't want to do training camp anymore. He didn't want to do it. Dude, his body's beat up. He's
listen,
done.
this is mine. It's kind of like baking a cake, Matty B. There's different ingredients that go in it. Some more ingredients than others. I think a big ingredient was probably his future. He knows what he can do now. That there's no ambiguity about making money and being. He has one of the most successful podcasts. I'm sure he's making a buttload of money on already. The NFL will probably jump at him to be on some sort of something if it's not a national broadcast or something. We all thought WIP was the way he was going to go when he retired, but I think
he's going to be bigger than that.
I think he's going to be bigger than that. So I think that's part of it. I think another big ingredient was the wife. I think the wife played a big ingredient. Like, listen, you've been saying this now for a few years. I want my husband to be able to get down on the ground and play with his daughters. I want him to not be in pain and be iced up and constantly, and because I think that's the key factors here. And you play that he was doing an interview where he's saying like he is so afraid that this team's going to be good and he's not going to be here next year to be part of it. Like it's that separation anxiety. It's almost like what's it like when a prisoner gets used to their captive, type thing. He doesn't know they've been in prison for 25 years. I don't know how to handle myself in the outside world.
Right.
Like that's something. So that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Howie trading away all the stain on the defense last year at Fangio's request.
Well, is that a bad problem? Like trade him away, like get rid of him if we can, and if you can scrap it, move on. But like, there's gonna be a lot of new things to catch in. You're gonna when you go to the game, you're gonna go to Sherry'sTickets.com. Sherry'sTickets.com, family owned, operated since 1946. Sports, concerts, theater, you name it, they got it. Great prices, no hidden fees. Because Mike, you go online, you check it out, you see the price, you're like, oh, I can afford that. Then you got to check out some of these places.
Ticket price is triple.
That is just double what I was about to pay. Why would I want to do that? Well, you go to Sherry'sTickets.com, you don't have to worry about that. And Mike, when you go to check out, you actually will pay less because you use that great promo code
EOP10.
That's right. EOP10 will save you 10% off at Sherry'sTickets.com. So you already great prices. Save 10% off with that great promo code.
EOP10.
That's right, EOP10. Save 10% off at sherrystickets.com. Again, sherrystickets.com. Use that promo code EOP10. Use it often. Use it frequent.
Yeah, Matty B had me do that the other night during the fly.
See what I started? Yeah.
He's like, go ahead. Like, oh,
all
now I
yours.
got to do it for 2 shows.
Yeah. Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
Matty B, stop all the Howie bashing. He's a sick best ever.
Mm.
It's all about culture, and the Eagles' culture sucks.
Last year, yeah.
Hold on. I'm not going to say he's wrong. I'm also, is it culture
Or coaching.
or is there some sort of coaching, which is kind of culture? I guess that kind of falls into it. I'm just trying to think of the right word. Or was there some sort of fracture that they're trying to heal up, and or they're, maybe Ant's on to something. Maybe he is requesting a trade. I don't know. I haven't seen anything yet. I haven't been on line to see.
I haven't heard nothing about him. And like I said, he was on with Ike Reese and Jack Fritz about a week ago, clearing the air. He said, if the Eagles move on from me, he goes, I understand it's a business. He goes, I don't want to leave. He said, but if that's the route that they choose to go, then that's the route that they choose to go. He said, but I'm just going to get ready. Like, I'm ready to come here and play ball for the Eagles.
Bradbury got lazy and Slay too. And is Ant on to something here? I'm not saying lazy. Are you going to use the term lazy? But the guys start to kind of fold it up early because of whatever the issue.
Well, Slay got hurt, so I mean, you can't really blame Slay. And I thought Slay had a pretty productive year. Like, he wasn't getting toast out there.
Not
like
Bradbury toast. No.
Bradbury was getting beat like a rented mule all over the field. So I don't know if he got lazy or if he just didn't understand what they wanted him to do. If it wasn't talk to, because he looked like a rookie out there. I'm sorry, but like, to me, at times he played worse than Killy Ringo and Eli Ricks. I thought those 2 kids played better than he did a year ago.
Yeah, I'm on with vibes on this one. I think he says it's going to be tough to get out of the James Bradbury contract. Unfortunately, he's back next year. Yeah, nobody's going to give you anything for him, so at best, you'll be lucky just to they'll take him and take on his contract. And I guess maybe trying to be the optimistic one here. I know Matty B hates when I do this. I'm not being a homer, just trying to be optimistic, I guess. Maybe it was something with the defensive coordination and the way things were lined up that, or maybe he just lost a step or 2 or 7. I don't know.
I mean, you're going to find that out. I mean, because they're going to put him out there. But like I said, the only thing I'm agreeing with, he said 6 to 8 wins next year tops. Matty, stop with the insanity. Just stop.
I'm not going to even comment.
I'm not even going to talk about.
No, I'm not going to even comment on it because I can't agree or disagree with it at this point because I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
This team could be completely different within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, not completely, but significantly different. Significantly
6 to 8 wins. I mean, he's trying to build. He's building that mountain right next to Howie. He's going to stand on both of them.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying he could be wrong or he could be right. I'm just saying I can't consciously make a decision on that comment.
Only prediction is I'm confident is that Justin Simmons will quarterback this defense on a 2 to 3 year deal. I hope that
Marshawn,
your lips to God's ears.
I love him. Marshawn has some of the great comments sometimes on our shows, and I like that one. I think he could be I want to say plug and play, but he could be pretty.
He pretty much. I mean,
pretty close to it as long as he fits the scheme. That's the other thing. Like,
well, Fangio drafted him.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, and that's my thing is as long as he fits it, everything. I could see that happening, and the fact that he's out there, depending on what
Listen, I know a lot of people want Xavier McKinney. I would use Xavier McKinney as a backup right now. Like, for me, that's like plan B. If you're going to put money into the safety position, you got to put money. You go get Justin Simmons. He's young. He's already a proven Pro Bowler, and it helps your back end. Because if you're going to trade away your front end, okay, if you're trading away your defensive line, then you better go get some damn good secondary, because they're not. You can't have both. You can't have the back end sucking, and then now you're trading away all your pieces up front.
Yep. Dives was kind of going along with what I was saying. The Eagles are kind of banking on Bradbury regaining some semblance of an NFL corner. The Niners window is closing faster than the Eagles.
I think the Niners is closed. I mean,
I don't say it's closed, but
well, listen, they're talking about moving on from Ayuk. They're talking about moving on from Deebo Samuel. Like,
well, I think
it's very real.
Dave could bring listen. They brought in Hargrave last year, and they spent a lot of money to bring a guy like him in.
And they're talking about cutting him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're talking about cutting him. What's the other guy too? Eric Armstead. So
and it's saying Barkley is not going to be an Eagle. I don't think so either. But listen,
I can see them doing it though.
Eagles are going to model themselves after the Chiefs with a younger, revamped defense. Unfortunately, I expect growing pains in 2023, but that is just what it is. Again, I think they are prepared for that, Dives. I said that a little earlier. I think the Eagles are going to try to compete and try to be really good and hopefully have guys ready to go. But I think in the back of their head, there's a little bit of this could be a semi-transitional year, losing some leaders, revamping a lot of new players onto this team, growing pains, all that stuff is going to play into it. So I'm not saying I don't think this is going to be a Super Bowl or bust type year.
No, I don't. There's too many moving variables. Like last year, they lost two defensive. They had two new coordinators. This year they got two more defensive coordinators. Two more coordinators. So I'm interested to see what Kellen Moore's going to bring to the table, because one of the knocks with Kellen Moore's offense is he throws the ball too damn much.
Mm-hmm. Marshawn is saying Howie stopped drafting from Texas Christian University or TCU for those who are unfamiliar with it. But yeah.
He's not a Jalen Reagor guy.
Yeah, I don't think many people were. The Eagles should look how the Chiefs' defense improved these last 2 years. I mean, Spags, again, give Andy Reid credit where credit's due. He had a guy here who was not going to be a head coach anywhere, who was a prolific defensive head coach until he passed away, and we've been trying to
replace him ever since.
He was able to get Spags in Kansas, and he's not going anywhere. He's not going to be. You never hear him in the conversation about being a head coach or anything.
He was a head coach for the Rams, right? And then after that,
he is happy of doing what he's doing. That's kind of, I think, that's why I think.
I mean, look at it, dude. Like
that's why Fangio's here. I don't think Fangio's going to be a head coach if at all ever again, especially anytime soon. I think he's going to be able to be that, concentrate on the defense, do the defensive thing, let him do it.
Spags got what? 5 Super Bowls now? He's got 2 with the Giants and 3 with Kansas City.
Yeah, all 3 were. Yeah,
he's got 5 Super Bowls, man. Just think about that. And he was on the Eagles coaching staff. He was a linebackers coach.
Marshawn, any surprise slides in the draft? There's a lot to it. Star defensive end from UCL slide to 22.
He could. He could.
I don't think so.
Listen, the one thing about the draft,
I see us get leapfrogged and somebody taking him if he slides at all.
Listen, I saw a mock draft yesterday where the Eagles were picking at 14 via trade.
Well, so he's asking, do you think he slides back to 22? I'm saying
he could.
I'm saying
he could. I mean, you never know. It all depends on what the needs are of the first dozen teams. You know what I mean?
Defense. Yeah. Well, there's 21 teams ahead of you if you don't move. And of those 21 teams, someone's going to need defensive end. And he's the second best, first top, depending on where you look.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
In his position, and what a lot of people do, they take the best guy available. So I see if the Eagles get him, he's good. They're going to have to jump ahead.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be able to stay at 22. I really doubt it. Hey, I love being wrong in these cases. These are the times I will not mind being wrong.
I'm just saying, sometimes the draft doesn't go the way people expect it to. Like, I'll give you a case in point. Just look a couple years ago with all the defensive backs, right? They had the Eagles getting either J.C. Horn or what was the kid out in Denver? Patrick Surtain.
Oh, Surtain.
They had one of those two drop into the Eagles. And what happened? There was a run early on DBs and never made it to the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, the Eagles couldn't
even... No, anything's possible.
That's what I'm saying. Like, sometimes, man, I always just sit back. Like, the draft is the biggest unknown thing in the world. Sometimes it can be very predictable and go, okay, well, 1 through 10 went the same way we went. But then again, you have 1 through 10 can go the way the other ones, the way the past years have went. So I just, it's the greatest. How can I put it? It's I don't know. It's exciting for me. I guess
Well,
I
that's
can.
why that's why the draft is something talked about now mid-season when people are having you have one bad game, people are talking about drafting and mock drafts. I mean, it has become like to me what fantasy football was many years ago, like something people talk about constantly. Um Dive saying if he falls to he'll be an Eagle, no doubt. Yeah, I 100%. Defensive end, as talented as Wiley sought after as he is, Howie won't know what to do with himself. You know,
True.
yeah, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. Al, you forgot John Elway did. You forgot John Elway did it with the Colts. What did I forget? What did I? This must have been. What did I?
Earlier when you said not playing, you're like getting traded.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Elway did do that because Elway was about to, if I remember correct, wasn't he about to? He was about to play baseball with the Yankees, right? At one point in
Could have
time,
been.
like he was going to
Could have
walk
been.
away from football and just play for the Yankees.
Well, Russell Wilson wasn't like I know the Rangers. They drafted him high, Texas Rangers.
Yeah,
But you know, I do you get mad when players do that? They don't take where they're told to go. If you have enough clout to do so, do you get upset about it when they use their clout?
I don't know. I mean, listen, we come from a era where JD Drew told us no. Remember that him, and he was supposed to be a savior coming here.
I get it, and I can understand some people not want to go to certain organizations that are continually bad. And for years, Browns are now starting to kind of become conversationally a good team, but for the longest time, it was it was a black hole in the NFL to get drafted there.
Right. It was.
And I always wondered, like I always said, like guys who fizzled out in the NFL, how many of them could have been better if they went to a better organization or a better team or better opportunity?
Well, you got to remember too, like, um, really, if you look at it, there were some teams that were just, they were fighting to put a payroll together. You know what I mean? In this league, and there's other teams that, they were able just to keep putting money into it. I think the best thing that happened to this league was a salary cap. I mean, because I remember.
Ask the Cowboys. They may disagree with you.
Yeah, I mean, before there was a salary cap, you had guys. Basically, they were the first ones all teaming up to go one place to go win a championship. I mean, look at the early '90s. I mean, the Cowboys, the first 2 Super Bowls, they had a good young team. By the time they got to the 3rd Super Bowl, you had guys leaving from different teams to go there and play. Deion Sanders left. He won a Super Bowl with the 49ers, left after winning the Super Bowl with the 49ers to go play with Dallas the next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, the salary cap really kind of evened things out a little bit to where now all the teams have a chance. That's why if you take a look, there's been certain runs. Like, look how good Tennessee was for the longest time. Tennessee was really, really good, man. And now, now they're kind of bottom feeders now,
Hit some of these comments. Mike Papernick saying the Eagles need to get Jordan Davis in better shape so he can play the whole season and not fizzle out in the second half of the season. Yeah, I mean, I believe a little bit of that rookie wall played it, but also big men. It's a conditioning thing, and yeah, I hope he is ready to go. Marshawn, will Howie draft Sanders stud defensive stud tight end from Texas in the second round? I truly believe Howie will spend on the offense to get it at the elite level. I think he spends on defense to bring it to a respectable level. I kind of said that earlier. I'm not saying this exact player, but I'm saying I think second round, if they have the later second round pick, will be a tight end. It's about that time. There's like a shelf life, a rotation with tight ends for.
What's funny?
Like
Zach Ertz was out there and they didn't bring him back. You know what I mean?
Speaking of Zach Ertz, a commander. How's that settle with you?
Well,
he spit on him when he walks by now.
He's got a right to play.
I'm not saying he's a right to play. It's the same.
I mean, he's not wearing the star.
How does that make you feel?
I don't know. I don't really have anything. I mean, okay, he went to Washington. We'll see him twice a year.
Don't forget, Eagles have to re-sign Dickerson to an extension, which I think they will.
I think they will too.
I'm not worried about that as much. Eagles playing the season like the Sixers. I'm not saying punting. I'm not going to say punting. Like I said, I don't know if they're going to go in there with this Super Bowl or bust mentality. And what might be the best thing, it might be what makes a guy like Matty B happy. Like they're going to make the right moves, knowing that they're going to take the next couple of years to go, especially when your quarterback's as young as Jalen Hurts is. You know, I mean, that plays a factor in it. Dives, I think tight end is a
Sneaky big time need for the Eagles. Eagles
yeah.
drafted Goddard around the same time period when we had Zach Ertz. JT Sanders would be a great pick. I think he's right, man. Like I said, I
Yeah.
think he's big. I like Josh Sweat, but he disappears for like 8 games.
Does he like disappear for 8 games every year, or was that just last year?
You know, I just think he gets
A lot of guys disappeared last year.
yeah.
Our
So,
defense might have just sat off the field and just let things happen. I mean, they were just prolonging the inevitable at one point. I agree with Crockpot. This is when Howie drafts tight ends for the future. Sanders would be a great pick for the Eagles. I think we're all agreeing upon that. If Sirianni gets fired, Belichick was still out there, or Eric Bieniemy. I mean,
Eric, like, listen, there must be like he must have pissed somebody off.
he
Eric
pissed in somebody's Cheerios.
Because for that dude not to have a head coaching job, and he was a part of what 2 Super Bowl
Or
teams.
have an offensive coordinator's job at all. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, God, I mean, he was in Washington last year, but I mean, that was a lame duck situation.
Yeah, like I thought.
Where's he at now? He went to like UCLA or something, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he's like not even. He's not a head coach. He's like a
Offensive
he's like an
system.
assistant head coach or something.
Yeah.
It's like a weird position.
If Sirianni gets fired, Belichick is still out there. I'm like,
Marshall's saying, "Wow, $95 million guaranteed for Jones. He had 2 or 3 players in the Super Bowl that prevented a touchdown
for the Niners.
for the Niners." Yeah, no, he's a great player. I would have loved to see him in Midnight Green, but you know, I didn't think they were going to let him go. I thought if it was going to be between him and Snead, it would have been him over Snead. I mean, personally, that's what I thought. I thought the Taylor Swift pay for his contract because the Chiefs get all the money all of a sudden. Maybe need for Snead, yeah, that would be nice to see. The Eagles signing a D-back as a free agent hasn't worked out really well for the Eagles. No, and that's the thing is, and anyway, when they draft too, they don't let them either give them a chance to marinate and get better, or
Yeah,
they just have. What was the last homegrown like secondary player they had?
Lito and Shelton.
Shelton.
They were the last 2.
Yeah,
But I will.
That's a lifetime ago, ladies
It
and
is.
gentlemen.
But here, I will say this though: like I saw a lot of good things out of Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo a year ago. Like them boys got thrown into the fire. Did they get their butts kicked on certain occasions? Yeah, they did. But there were certain occasions they played very well too. You know, so I would like to see more of them. I think going forward, I think you might start seeing them. Brazil
is better than Tobias Harris. Leave it at Mitchie Poo.
Mitch loves Tobias Harris.
Oh yeah.
Lane Johnson is in good shape, and there are videos of him working out.
Yeah, I was always dude. The man his size, he's ripped. Usually, guys his size are not fat, but just big dude. You know, like
country fed.
Yeah, he is. He is a he's a genetic freak in some ways. Marshawn. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading it. Oh, if Talesi Fagba or Guyton is at 22, one of them will be Midnight Green unless maybe Latu falls at 22. Yeah, I think if a top tier defensive end falls, even if there's other guys on the board that we might think are more of need, I still think they go after him.
Okay,
we'll see what happens. What's up, Chris Jones? Chiefs agree to record. Yeah. Before free agency, he's never coming. He was never coming here. I don't think he was ever coming here either, Sean.
Yeah. What's up? Morning, though.
I mean, I'm saying never coming here. I think he's just going to go where the money was going to bring him. That's what I thought. Little double shot there. Well, how he spend like it's 2011 Dream Team vibes incoming?
No,
don't put that video on us. James Bradbury to Tobias Harris.
Which one?
I'd rather see James Bradbury play for the Sixers than Tobias Harris, I think, right now. So I'm gonna go Bradbury. Burnt toast or Cookie Man?
Cookie Man.
Oh God, Mitch, that is a great question. I'll take Bradbury. Oh, looks like
No
I'm looking
love
up.
for Tobias in this town, huh?
I think Tobias has seen his last ounce of love that he was ever going to get here. I just looked. There's nothing saying Adria is looking to be traded. That's just hypothetical trades I saw. Got you. Good. Good
Okay.
to hear. I OLED the fifth. Oh, I pled the fifth. I plead the fifth. There it is. I was like, wait, it's not a TV OLED. Bradbury to slot and Ringo and
To
Ringo to
Bradbury's.
Bradbury's spot. Well, like I said, Bradbury's going to pay too much. He's going to be on the field. I mean, that's going to happen. What about Simmons and McKinney as safeties? I mean,
I'm going to do. I take Simmons. I don't think you're going to get both of them.
no. I mean, McKinney's going to be sought after. It seems like Jalen got a pass this year, not in my eyes. But if plays the same way next year, when will Jalen be held accountable? I mean, if he plays like he did last year, doesn't make us take a step forward. I mean, he's going to be held accountable. I think he was held accountable. I think Jalen got a lot of scrutiny. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, he did. And, I'm going to give Jalen a little bit of credit. I mean, the dude was hurt all year. All year. Like, the only thing that was, everything was up. His yards were up, his touchdowns were up, but his interceptions were up. They took away, with him being banged up, he tried to be a pocket passer. It's going to happen. Your best quarterbacks have years like this. Mahomes had a year like this. Brady's had years like this. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has had years like this. I mean, you're talking about
be days like this,
right? I mean, so it's going to happen. You got to wait and see what he does. If he's putting in the work, you're definitely going to find out.
If the Niners cut Hargrave, I like the Eagles to pick him back up. Depends on what he's worth. I mean, a guy like Hargrave's going to be worth to a team that's contending.
I was shocked to hear that. Like I said, I follow a couple 49ers guys who do what we do, and they were talking, about all the cuts. Like I'm talking about, they're talking about the backup running back, Wilson, I believe, or no, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, Mitchell. They're saying Mitchell's gone, so now they don't have McCaffrey backing up. They're talking about Ayuk being moved because he wants more money, and they're not going to pay him. And then they were talking about Hargraves, Armstead, and who's the guy that got hurt?
I like Armstead too.
Who's the guy who got hurt? Greenlaw. They're talking about cutting all three of them.
Could you imagine if he comes to the Eagles, Greenlaw, after what happened with Big Dom and him?
Yeah, that would be funny.
What about we're gonna free agency? Eagles are talking to Greenlaw. Oh, wait a minute, hold on, update. Big Dom stepped in, he vetoed it. It's not happening.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson will be the backup QB next year as the I told you they would be an Eagle tour continues. Oh my God, he was in New York and I believe Pittsburgh, right?
I think he's going to go to Pittsburgh.
I think it's a good fit for him if he wants to recoup something working with Pittsburgh. I think they can really get the most out of him right now. And I think he needs to have a little bit of a coming to Jesus moment.
He says, Sean checking in says, guys, Fangio's system shares a lot of similarities with the former coordinator, Jonathan Gannon. Actually, Jonathan Gannon was running Vic Fangio's system. So it's more of Gannon was running Fangio's system, not
This is how I look at it. Instead of having guys as Fangio light,
right.
Now we get,
we have the actual guy.
We have the product. So if it doesn't work out, then we'll know. But my point is, like, you had guys who were, as you used the term before, I don't love, but I get the point, is the putting a stamp on something. Those guys were trying to take the pieces and put their stamp on it. So
now we have the guy who actually built the defense. So to me, but I mean, a lot of people don't realize too is that Fangio was actually a consultant that year that they ended up going to the Super Bowl. So he was a consultant. So Jonathan Gannon was running a version of his defense, but he had the guy in the building whose defense it was. So he could. That's why he looked so good. Go look at Jonathan Gannon's defense this past season out in Arizona, where he had to put everything together himself. Defense wasn't so good. So I mean, you got the guy whose defense it is in the building. I like it, and I think I like it as long as they go and get the right players. You know what I'm saying, Al? Like I feel like they have to hit. Howie's got to hit a home run. I feel like, and
it's going to be a home run.
He's got to hit a home run.
Yeah.
Like I said, but I do expect them to go after Justin Simmons, or at least make a very hard push for him because he was they were trying to cover him via trade.
Sure.
So if they were trying to trade for him and now he's out there, I'd bring him here and I'd have him ink because, like I said, you put him in the back. You put him in the other kid that's with us.
Currently with us?
Yeah. Blankenship.
Blankenship. Reed.
Yeah, me too. You have Simmons and Blankenship back there. Now you got 2 young safeties.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when Sidney Brown comes back, now you got a third corner. So, again, my only issue with this whole thing with them cutting Avonte Maddox was they could have waited till June 1st and they would have had $7 million more.
I think they were trying to be good to him. I think that was the point of it. I mean, listen, $7 million is a little nice.
Listen, I'm not mad that they cut him. I'm not.
I think he comes back. I wouldn't be surprised.
Really? You think so?
They'll re-sign him for a cheaper deal.
I just looked at it.
If it depends on what his market's like. If his market's not that great and he can come back, I wouldn't be surprised to see him back in there.
Do you think they go after Gardner Johnson too? Because he's a Raven.
I wouldn't be surprised. I know some people are against it after the way it all went down. He's a little bit of a head case, but he's a good head case. I mean, but
he had
some injuries too. I mean,
he didn't have a great year with Detroit.
I mean, he didn't get back into the playoffs. He missed half the year or more.
No, he was in. He came back late in the year.
I said he didn't come back. Oh, right before the playoffs.
Before the playoffs. He played in the playoffs, but again, I don't really feel like,
Well, like I said, and sometimes you need somebody to fight for your rights. And we go to David Archerry. That's right, cherryinjurylaw.com, workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law. David Archerry is the man with a plan for you to fight for those rights that you have. And cherryinjurylaw.com or 610-565-0300. Again, go to cherryinjurylaw.com if you ever get hurt in a work injury, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or some criminal law issues. Cherryinjurylaw.com or go to 610-56 or call 610-565-0300 and talk to Dave now. Let's take a couple of these quick comments because there's something else I want to talk about in a moment.
Yeah, I know we were on this for an hour.
Yeah, I guess
Pat's probably doing backflip.
Pat is pissed off
right now. Yeah, because
he's looking at a whole script that he wrote out, like that script, the outline or whatever.
Yeah, the outline for the show, and we totally went off of it.
We have not even touched it yet.
That's all right. That's fine. We should do that every time he does it.
Yeah,
he's gonna be like,
I'm never taking another day off, you guys. Dave, what's going on?
What's up, Dave?
Steve, you can get Eric all the cheap
Erec. I think Fangio's defense won't be as good as people think it is. Well, I mean, Miami had a pretty good defense last year.
I know you're not for the most positive end of things, but I mean, they had a decent defense, and they had some.
And they had Jordan Ramsey missing for Ramsey missing for half a year.
He's not a bad defensive coach, and he's been around the league for a while. So I'm not.
I like his coaches.
I like the ones that definitely they picked up. Yeah. Be healthy enough for the rookie season. I know he had a torn ACL in October. Yeah, that's something that you might get in the later round too. Something to think about. I see trading out for Mitchell, quarterback from Toledo, with 13th pick Raiders or 17th pick Jaguars. You do this?
No.
Quinyon Mitchell. I don't know.
No, because I feel like I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like, wow, he said Lance Parrish. Oh, Lance Parrish on that one, Steve. Yeah, I'm not trading up. I feel like they have. I feel like they have 2 good cornerbacks, young cornerbacks that they can groom in. They got Eli Ricks, they got Keely Ringo. They have 2 young, and that's not even talking about the kid. Was it Rhodes? Or no, not Rhodes. Who's the kid we got from Indianapolis? The one that was bad, Isaiah Rodgers. We have Isaiah Rodgers still coming in. Who can still play?
How many times we have these guys that are supposed to play, and they bring them in, they're going to move up.
Well, here's what happened. Like that dude got caught gambling, so they gave him the Calvin Ridley experience.
Yeah. I don't know, Sean. I'd rather see Eagles trade back than trade up.
Yeah, same here. I mean, you're going to get more. Steve Francis didn't want to play for the Vancouver Grizzlies. Steve Francis was who?
Who the F? Who gives an F about the Eagles? It's March. Talk about hockey and baseball.
Look, here's the other Mayfair Mafia guy.
All Eagles all the time. No, stop it. It's free agency that starts this week, and it's legal tampering tomorrow. It's a hot topic. Shut up, Matty B. God, We're going to talk about it in a moment. We'll talk about that 7-0 womp romping they took yesterday. All right.
Yeah, how about those
Wait till my
Flyers?
article pops out right after the show.
Yeah.
It's going to be a real barn burner.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, I would write the whole thing about Torts' blow up.
Yeah.
And just put it out there. Matty B be cracking the noodle whip on that one.
These Eagle storylines will be here tomorrow and the next day. Yeah, I know, Matty. I know. But, we started talking about it. Everybody's conversating. We want to give the people what they want, Matty B. Let's see. Would you know why Goddard Hurts didn't get down with Ertz? It can't be because of CW. Put it.
Huh?
Carson Wentz. Is that Carson Wentz? Is that what he's asking? I don't know.
I don't understand. I don't understand what he meant by
there was a problem with Howie. I know at the one point. I don't know. He wanted to get
JoJo or Giroux.
JoJo or Giroux. What round 3 are we talking about?
I guess who would you take?
Round 3 of hot takes. JoJo. Right?
Giroux. I see the Eagles driving that left tackle from Oklahoma in the first round. Makes sense.
I mean, if you could play right, yeah, maybe.
Cooper DeJean from Iowa, I'd like to see. I do not want him. He's overrated. He's overrated.
The QB factory continues and Russell Wilson comes to Philly. Oh, God. Matty B, see what you started? How long has it been since Fangio's system worked in the playoffs with Fangio at the DC helm? Good point. That's a very good point. Trying to think.
2 years ago. Eagles went to the Super Bowl. It was his defense.
Wow. I guess.
He was in the building.
Yeah.
Gannon was the coordinator.
Yeah,
Fangio was.
You're right.
He was a consultant. Yeah, 2 years ago. So
the Arizona defense held on to force Philly to a field goal after Gannon's onside kick.
That was a combination of both.
Yeah, Simmons will be 30 this season. Does Charity fight for a right to party? Yeah.
Yes.
If you met Dave, absolutely. That's his favorite thing to fight for. Why? I do not want CJGJ. My least favorite thing is the people. Garner Johnson said they are effing obnoxious. I effing can't stand Fs. I like how we're so butthurt about certain things. You know what? If you come in and play well, call me any name you want. It's like my wife. She's a lot better looking at me. I'm like, you can call me anything you want during coitus. I really don't care.
You get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can call me Matthew McConaughey if it makes you sleep. If it makes you feel better. Pat is sitting in his lazy boy chair and eating pasta and drinking milk, watching the show, and get ready for a Wings play on TV. David Archer will be representing Anthony Melton soon. All right, let's change gears for a second. Let's talk about those Flyers for a moment because we do have to mention because up until last night they were playing pretty well, but last night they took a shellacking in Tampa.
I told you. Me and Maddie said it on Thursday when we did Clear the Ice. I was very surprised of how the Flyers actually played in Florida this year. They were undefeated in Florida going into last night's game with 2 wins against the Panthers down there, and they had beaten Tampa down there already. So they were kind of looking for the sweep last night, and boy, oh boy, did they not get it.
No, they're playing well, but a lot of stuff's happened since
trade deadline.
The trade deadline. So, Mike, what has been? I want to say your favorite move, but what do you think was the best move they made? The trade deadline.
Probably trading Allison for was it Johnson?
Yeah, there's a guy that kind of fell from grace. They were supposed to be a nice piece for the Flyers moving forward.
He couldn't stay up here.
I heard that, and I also heard. Now these are rumors, more or less, but I heard a lot that he was kind of. I don't know. I want to.
A malcontent?
Malcontent, I guess is a good way of putting it.
Well, I mean, if you were called up and sent down as much as he was, you'd be malcontent too. I mean, let's keep it real. There's some guys on this team that haven't been pulling their weight, and this dude's getting them. He's got to keep taking a bus back and forth, from Lehigh Valley.
I mean, no surprise they went after a lot of defensemen. I mean, they needed them. They're very thin there with the injuries.
I was surprised. I was surprised they couldn't find a home for Cam Atkins.
Really?
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like I mean, they weren't going to get nothing for him. You know what I mean? But he's just been so disappointing.
Let's talk. Let me ask you a question. Nick Sealer.
Loved it.
Love it. I think it's great. 4 years. That boy, he is what I refer to as the glue guy. That's the kind of guy that he's got that energy, even if he's not scoring goals. Or making the biggest hit on the team.
He'll do whatever it takes on that team. Like when I fell in love with this dude just because he's not scared to get in front of a puck. My man has more black and blue marks on his body. I mean, he probably looks worse than Corbin Burnson did.
But 4 years, under $3 million a year.
And that just goes to show you too how much the Flyers like him, because was he not? Somebody give Matty B a hug.
I love Mars.
Matty needs a hug.
Everybody, just give an air hug to Matty B today.
Yeah, listen. At least me and Matty got the good game. Like I felt, babe. Was it you and Austin? Was it Pat and Austin or you and Austin last night?
Oh, that was
Pat and Austin, right?
Pat and Austin.
Yeah, like how are you going to come on and try to talk about that game?
Well, you gotta talk about the bed being est and how est it is.
Ooh.
You know, Steve say missed the game. Did Arison?
Both of them did. Both of them.
Everybody. Yeah, there's about 2 goals in the first 3 goals that were.
It was like 4 minutes, right? They were down. First, like 4 minutes, they were down 4-0.
This team was out of sorts. I don't know if they were pressing from the get. I really just maybe they were tired. I don't know what it was. Like combination of a lot of different things. But this team, this was like they're lucky they have off until Tuesday to kind of reset.
Yeah, they got
to
the
point that Torts was losing his mind and got thrown out.
he went ballistic. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
Matty B needs to go to Brazil.
He doesn't need to go to Brazil.
I couldn't picture Matty on those.
The
pieces.
Flyers are fun to watch. Besides last night, they do miss Hart, and it definitely shows it.
No, they don't. They don't miss Hart at all. I'm sorry, Eriksson has played his butt off. I mean,
last night was
Last night's just one of those games that just
in the
snowballed.
world of sports. We used to say there's days that even the best of best players, step on their dinghies. And last night, Sam Erston and a lot of the Flyers stepped on their dinghy.
Oh, listen, he had a bad night.
I'm using little kids' terms.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Mother-in-law sends an air hug to Matty B. That's great.
We all do. We all love Matty B hug. He's a very huggable, lovable kind of character.
Yeah, it's like hugging a bear.
But like I said, let's go moving forward. Actually, do I have the lineup?
Yeah. Matty hit it on you for next week.
Here it is. Here's your next week lineup. I wanted just to throw it out there, but also want to talk about the games coming up next week.
Come on, man! I get stuck with him again.
Yeah, you go.
It's like herpes,
day
dude.
Day to back to back.
Back to back. Yeah, I'm going to be up all night Saturday, and then I got to come in here Sunday morning with his.
Yeah, so that means in less than like 12 hours, you'll have 2 shows with him.
Oh, cheese and crackers! What did I do to deserve this?
You better write a letter to the union.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's see. Why is this computer? There we go. Matty B going through it at 10:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Listen, Matty B loves every last second. Don't let it fool you, Marshawn. He loves every last second of it. The Flyers had a day off in Tampa. Always had the Flyers number.
Yeah, but not this year. I mean,
listen, you had the best power play in the NHL going up against the worst power play in the NHL. And they've had a lot of bad penalties because they got flustered and fast. Actually, let me see if I have that. Where was it? I had it right in front of me.
So now I got to do the. Not only do I got to do the game, but it's against Boston.
Well, hopefully it's a good game against Boston.
Well, no, it's actually up there. It's actually in Boston. So nice way to spend St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We might be. We might have some special stuff to talk about that. We'll announce that later. But right now, it is St. Patty's Day next Sunday, so we'll have a very green day for you guys. Talking Eagles free agency, of course, and
yeah. By then we should have get ready for the fightings.
Yeah, getting ready for the Fightings. Will be about to real close to kicking off the season. But Tuesday it is Matty B and the Matt and Pat, the what we call
the Mayfair Mafia.
The Mayfair Mafia will be at it for the San Jose game. And I and Austin, I guess we did such a good job, the double A team there. We'll be back on Thursday for the Maple Leafs, which is a big game.
That's gonna be a good game.
That's gonna be a game. They have a lot of they got a lot of good stuff coming up here. So and then you got the Bruins game. So dropping listen, lose by 10 points, lose by one point. It's still a loss the same way, but you got to be able to rebound. And last time they lost this bad,
they did rebound.
Was it the Capitals game?
Yeah.
Yeah, they came back and that's when they beat. Hold on 1 second. Who did they beat then? The Capitals, and then they came back and beat the Senators. That's right. On the next one. So, and the Senators had their number for a while too. So hopefully this might just spell some bad news for the San Jose Sharks and give that Mayfair.
I want to see them beat Toronto.
We'll see if Pat is back on with just if the Flyers are going to go to the Cup or not. Pat flip-flops more than anybody I know, but this season the Flyers, especially the last couple of weeks, the flip-flops have been
my man is tanned on both sides.
Yeah. You gotta love it.
Oh man.
Let's see. Pat's pick looks like he's just looking at the window and stalking someone. It's probably somebody eating a sandwich from across the street. It's more like it. He's not a person stalker. He's a food stalker. Matty knows how to bait the hook without being full of shit. Gotta love. That's why I love Matty B.
He can get
one of my good friends. I mean, but
he can hook and
he is.
He
good.
can get you.
He's one of and listen, knowledgeable. I'm not even kidding. Knowledgeable, but I'm still listen. I think this Flyers team's good. I still think they're going to make a playoff run.
I said that to Matty Thursday night, like when we were talking, doing Clear the Ice. He asked me. He said, "Do you think that this Flyers team? Do you think like he wants it to go? Like his perfect season for them would be for them to lose in like 6 or 7 games in the first round." And I looked. I said, "Matty, I'm sorry." I said, "But I think right now," I said, "I think they can win a round."
I think I don't think any team's going to want to go up against the Flyers in round 1 just because even if they win and go on to round 2, that team's going to be beat.
Yeah,
beat up.
Like the one thing I will give the Flyers, like even if they go out in the first round, all right, these young guys got a taste, man, and it only bodes well going forward.
Will Daily News Live sue PM and the AM for a logo theft? Is that really? I gotta look at that logo. Like,
I gotta take Daily News Live. There hasn't been a Daily News Live in like 10 years.
That is. Let me see. I don't see anyone that looks like the one that we have.
It looks. I know what he's talking about. Yeah, it's the old show that used to be on Comcast.
Oh,
back in the day. I don't think there's been a Daily News Live in like 20 years.
Listen, you can't get mad because of formatting looks the same. I mean, no. Daily News Live is
Daily News Live. Holy cow!
They don't have a Pat Bernard.
Yeah. And we talk about food on here.
Yeah,
like really. They used to try to talk sports.
Yeah, me too. Like I had to think about that for a second. I had to reach back in the old archives there. That's what that burning smell was. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, like I like them. They did exactly the deadline what I wanted them to do. They made moves to better the future, not to better the now.
Right, and they didn't give up no assets, which is something that, no offense, but former GMs would do here. Like they would go get the hottest commodity, and
especially with how the Flyers have been not a great team over the last years, and now they're playing a little bit above where they normally are. That tends to make guys want to make a move, to jump at something. And I'm glad that they were able to stay pat a little bit, and they've bolstered the team a little bit, added some pieces on defense. Nothing that's groundbreaking. There wasn't that big splashy move at the trade deadline, but they were. And now, you were talking about the Allison trade. It seemed like we got rid of one headache for another headache. Like because I guess the guy Johnson, he hasn't played for like 2 weeks up in Buffalo. Yeah, but how much time is he? Just the rest of the season? Was he just a year rental?
No. I think he's got a couple of years left on his contract. So I think that's why they traded Allison up there, because Allison's probably. from what I understand, he didn't go to Buffalo's minor league. He stayed with he's up with the Sabres. So
And here's a little food for thought. The list I saw.
don't say food. Pat's probably
I know.
drooling somewhere.
Yeah. I saw this online the other day. For the next 3 years, round by round, this is what the Flyers draft picks have. Over the next 3 years, in the first round, they have 5 draft picks so far. In round 2, they have 5 draft picks. Round 3, they have 3. 4, they have 3. Round 5 and 6, they have 4. And round 7, they have 3. So the boat has been officially stocked.
Yeah.
So that to me, that's good news. Let's transition a little bit into the Sixers because we have to. Because
Why?
I mean, am I crazy now with my crazy hot take of saying I'm not saying. I said the season's pretty much done. Like even if Joel is healthy, we've heard him say, "Oh, he might be able in the next week or so, couple weeks, resume."
They play Tuesday, don't they?
They play both the Flyers and the Sixers play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday this week. So if you have to pick one to watch, I know I'll be watching.
I'm watching the Flyers. I'm not watching the Sixers. Like they're just. I feel bad for Nick Nurse because now, if you take a look at everybody's getting hurt now. I've never seen a team go through so many injuries. D'Anthony Melton's been out for like a half a season. You have Joe out again. Joe's been out. Now you got Tyrese Maxey out because he got hit in the head. He's got a concussion. Like there's so many. Like they are putting out there. They're putting the Delaware Bluecoats out there to go play against NBA teams. So
smells like processed around these parts.
Yeah,
Marshawn. No, I'm just saying like. This was supposed to be a transitional year. I mean, all the moves that they made when they traded James Harden, when they what they did at the trade deadline, nothing here screams the future to me. Nothing screams to me win now. They were hoping bringing in a Beal, and they were not Beal, Healed, and they were hoping to bring in some of these guys, Campaign and all those guys that they're going to have, keep them afloat. Team can't keep afloat. This team, and now you don't have Maxey, and Tobias is being.
Listen, I think Tobias is
being exposed. Is it for a word for it?
No, he's just here to collect his money and move on. He knows he's not going to be here next year.
I wouldn't be surprised if he would. If he would, it depends.
You imagine would it be something like he made all this money? And he goes, "Oh, okay, yeah."
At this point, you don't even want him back for the league minimum.
Yeah. Look, that's what I'm saying. He come back for the league minimum. I would do that.
But I know Embiid is starting to go to rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't they just shut him down for the year?
Because there's no reason to say it.
It's the darkest before the dawn, guys. Those injuries are all from aggressive closing out on defense early in the season.
Listen, I agree with you. I don't think trade Joel and scrap it and start over again. And
no, that's after next year.
Maybe, depending on how everything plays out. But they have a lot of money they're going to be able to play with. You're going to have Tobias off contract. You're going to have.
I have a thought process, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
Jimmy Butler's a free agent at the end of the year. Do they bring him back? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been down in Miami for 4 years.
Hold on.
Jimmy Butler's, I'm pretty sure he's a free agent. He's been down there for 4 years. He only signed a 4-year deal with them.
Why did that Google search?
So, I'm just saying, could there be a reunion?
No.
Or did he resign?
No. He had a 3-year contract. He is on for this year, on for next year. He's due to make $48 million, almost $49 million. He has a player's option in 2025, 2026 for $52 million. And then he's a UFA in 2026.
So then he must have resigned then. Because when he
went
down,
3 years and 2026, he must have did it this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought he signed a 4-year deal down there because when he left here, he supposedly had a 4-year deal. But they were talking about moving on from him too.
On Sports Track, the picture of Jimmy Butler is him with the Karen haircut, with the hair comes like halfway down the face. I'm like dying over here. Like, why did they use that picture?
Dude, he's nuts.
Oh man, that is great. That is great. I'm gonna see if I can. I want to see if I can save this. Hold on, I gotta see if I can pull this up where it's not totally distorted because it's such a small picture. Oh man, sorry. I hear this. Let me see. This can't come that good. It's really small, but all right, hold on. Boost it up. Boost the image up. There we go. Here we go.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I was gonna say, is that his haircut? I was like,
That's a weird dude,
that's
man.
a weird haircut right there. But
Holy cow.
let's see. What place are the Sixers in now? I'll tell you right now. They are currently
Sixth.
seven.
7 now?
They're tied. They're tied with the Heat. Speaking of, at 7 at same. They're both at 35 and 28.
No, I'll tell you right now. If the Heat get into the playoffs, I'm not going against them. I went against them the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, they've gotten to the finals.
They're 14 games out of first place, and they're like 6 games out of second place. So, you know, the Celtics have a pretty good stranglehold on that first place spot right now. But
Well, that's only because
but
Milwaukee's fallen from grace, with Doc.
speaking of, they have Milwaukee this week. It's this Thursday. They have Milwaukee. So you have the Knicks today, the Knicks Tuesday, the Bucks on Thursday, and the Hornets on Saturday. And they see the Heat next Monday, a week from tomorrow.
They could be out.
The Knicks throttled them last time. I mean, sometimes we forget as fans, when people are fans, how good or bad a team is. And, like, oh, we lost to the Grizzlies. They're a G League team. Look around the Sixers. Without JoJo, without Maxey, and with the current way Tobias Harris is playing.
They are the dude. It's the Wilmington Bluecoats or the Delaware Bluecoats. They're just all playing in Sixer uniforms.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've rolled up the season in my head. I'm following them, of course, to do my due diligence and pay attention and watch games and hopefully see some sparks from some of these young guys that might get a chance that normally wouldn't. But Paul Reed, sorry, bud, huge letdown this year, bro. We all defended you with the Paul Reed tour BS from Doc, and you just have not. You have not. I mean, listen, playing behind Joel Embiid's got to be one of the worst things in the world because you're always going to not look good. You know what I mean? But ultimately, it's been a big letdown from Paul Reed, and then the fact that Sixers can't get a half decent backup center. That's one of the most key needs in my eyes is getting a good backup center who can spell and you don't watch the distance between the scores start to dwindle more.
Right.
That's a problem, and that's a problem that needs to be fixed. If the Sixers make the playoffs, it would be a miracle. I kind of said they weren't going to make the playoffs, and part of me hopes they don't. I know I'm going to get a bunch of crap about this, and oh, you're not a real fan. No, I'm a realist, and if they make the playoffs and Joel has a possibility of playing, they're going to put him in there. And then when he gets hurt and he's going to be out for 6 months, and he's not going to be able to play at the beginning of next year, and there's going to be all these question marks about his health at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
We're all going to be crying boo-hoo because we wanted to try to win in the year that we were not poised to do so.
Well, I don't know about you, but that's enough Sixer talk for me.
Yeah. So
how about
chucking threes up and keep falling short in the spring?
How about them Fightins? Looked pretty good yesterday.
Yeah, I mean,
Ranger did anyway.
Don't look at the
score,
final score
because the final score was 13-5. But if you look at it, they scored 8 runs. They scored 8 runs in the last
at the point
inning.
After they tied. Mundo Sosa hit a grand slam, tied the game up at 5. They started pulling. Then after that, Bryce got on base, and I think JT got on base. He got hit. He got hit in the. It was like on the hip or something, and they put him on base. But after that, they started pulling guys, and then it kind of fell apart. And a pitcher came in who just couldn't get off. Guy's not gonna make the team anyway.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but was it not yesterday? Friday, there was a pretty good outing by Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Ranger looked good.
Yes.
They're
already getting the rotation going. You can see it.
Yeah.
What do you think? Now you heard that Nola said he thinks Wheeler should get the nod for the home opener.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe this would break the 6-year streak for Aaron? Do you think it happens?
Yeah, I think it does. I think Aaron's passing the torch on to him. So I would definitely check it out. I'm gonna have to sit to see. This game's actually today's game is actually on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. It looks like.
Well,
But I guess you can find it somewhere. If you look really hard online, guys, you can definitely
it looks like it's going to be a Fubo one.
Fubu.
Fubo. It's that subscription streaming sports thing. It's called FUBO. Fubo.
Fubu. Yeah.
How's that? All right, whatever.
Fubu.
All right, I'm saying Fubo.
Whatever. So it's on one of those.
That's what they're saying. I'm looking at one other spot.
But anyway, I'm looking because they got
the only thing I'm saying is TV is Sportsnet Pittsburgh, MLB TV for the Pirates. So the Phillies probably don't have a broadcast set up for tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's actually today. I'm interested to see because they got the young kid going, Castillo. Max Castillo's going today. I want to check him out, see how he looks.
This is a radio day. We're put on the radio.
Yeah.
I'm work on the website, doing a lot of updates on that. So I can do that and keep my ear on the game and keep my eye on the screen. So that last night was a great night to do website work with
it was.
I went out to the car to go get something for my wife when it was pouring rain, and I had to get changed afterwards. It was coming down so hard. It was a good
man. Mike is on this thing, dude. Listen, you got to let last year go.
I will tell Mike this. The end of the season, a lot of problems that they had. I put a lot on the manager, but I'm not going to sit here and it's like, it's like Matty B. We always make the joke. I said he'd be like the kind of guy that goes out with a supermodel who pays for dinner and gives out fun times on the first date, but because she had a little mole on the back of her neck, she had to go. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, sweetheart, you're out of here. Like that's that thought process right there with me. So it's a little extreme, cut the nose, spite the face situation. It's only preseason. No one cares. I care. Let me ask that question to you because I kind of made this comment on air a couple weeks, not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday before. Does of all the major sports and all the preseason games and exhibition games, does baseball preseason rank highest with you? That's where it ranks highest with me. Like, I watch more preseason baseball than any other major teams preseason.
I do too. Like number one, I don't watch
football.
I don't watch preseason. I don't watch preseason basketball. Preseason hockey is
like
kind of cool. Like you'll watch like the first 2 games of the Flyers preseason.
They only have like 3 exhibition games, don't they?
No, they play a lot now. They play about 8 to 10
stuff that you can actually sit down and watch.
But I mean, you'll watch it just to see some of the young players. But to me, like football preseason, nobody's playing.
This is a negative Nancy day to hear.
I have zero hope for the Phils this year. Okay, well,
why? I want to know why.
I guess he doesn't feel like they're
getting. Nufu TV, $119 for the whole year, and every MLB, NFL, NHL, NBA, college, etc. I'll have to check that out. $120 for the year.
Yeah, Mike, send that link over.
Nufu TV. I'm getting a crap ton of 2012 vibes. Why? I want to know why.
Because they went to the World Series, lost, and then they lost in the
like they're gonna be good and then just fall off. Like,
yeah. Good morning, Muffler Mike checking in. Big Wings game today at 3 at the Wells Fargo.
Yeah, that's why Pat's not here. He's getting his nose powdered and heading down to the Farg.
Yeah. He had a big, probably.
I'm surprised breakfast. He didn't try to say, I'm going to call into the show or something like that. Or
I'm kind of glad we wouldn't have put him through.
I would have put him through. I would have just kept muting him. Like, let him just keep talking. Like, let him think we're
over and under how many cheesesteaks Pat has already eaten while waiting for the Wings press box to open. Pat, he's waiting for.
Are we talking driving there, or when he got there? How many did he eat, or all together? Because that makes a difference.
Yeah, I mean, driving there, he probably didn't. But
Rob Thomas' best coaching is during preseason. Everybody's best coaching is during the preseason. Nobody really makes notice of any coaching decisions because you're putting people out there just to see what they can do. Like you're pulling guys who are. 3 scoreless innings, you could go on 3 more, but you're pulling them because you got to give the other guy a chance because you got to see what you have. So you really can't screw that up. Steve's saying the Phils are old.
What? Where are they old at?
Well, I mean, Bryce is what, 31, right?
Okay, and he
I know.
moved positions.
No, 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 I know. I'm just saying. I'm trying to think out loud. So is Schwarber and Costanzo. They're all about the same age, right?
Yeah,
You got Johan in center. He's young. You got Brandon, who's still pretty young, who's
young.
out there.
Bones
Bryson
young.
Stott, Bones young. If you go by the pitching staff, I mean, you got Wheeler, who's
Young.
and let me tell you,
Which
no,
he's not. I
he's
mean,
34.
he's in his prime.
He's 34, but he's a young 34. And I'm not just being a homer here. I know I'm going to get this from Matty B. Anthony, come
Boo.
on, man.
Oh man,
Ah,
let's go Mets.
ugh.
Where are they going
I feel
other
so
than the
dirty
basement?
for clicking on that.
Mets
Wheeler,
suck.
remember Wheeler was hurt a lot in the first 2 years of his
Career, yeah,
but he's been an Iron Man ever since for the most part.
because he got out of New York.
So in my eyes, 34 and his age is like 31. Like that's how I look at it. So Nola's 30, 31, right? Yeah. So I mean but the pitcher's age, I mean, he's still fairly young. It's a few good years left of him, like at least a solid 3 years.
I mean, you're taking a look.
Christopher
I mean,
Sanchez, depending on where he ends up.
good young arm. I mean, Rangers, good young arm, and they got young arms coming up. Like I don't. They're not old. I mean, a lot of the guys. What I say, a lot of the guys are in their prime right now. Yeah, guys like Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Schwarber, Real Muto.
Yeah,
they're in their prime, but let's not.
I mean,
like, they're not old.
I know they got Whit Merrifield, but there's another guy who's kind of like he's what the Phillies wanted from Reese Hoskins. A guy he came on late in his career. Like Whit Merrifield was kind of a slow, late bloomer, if you want to call him that. I love Whit Merrifield. I'm telling you, check the tapes from 2021. I was pounding the desk for Whit Merrifield, and so far, it looks like it's been a good idea. A guy you can bring in who
he can play
a
everywhere.
lot of positions almost. And he's got that. He's not a home run power hitter, but he can be if you need him to be. Anthony's saying Phils are frauds. All right, somebody hack you, Ant. I mean, geez. Have I known this? But Ant was a Mets fan this whole time.
I don't know. I mean, he's always chiming in to the Phillies games. So I mean, if I was a Mets fan, I'd be watching the Phillies too because the Mets don't give you nothing. The Mets are done by May 1st every year. So I mean, if I'm a Mets fan, honestly, I'm not. I have to start watching other teams because the boot is coming. Like I have a friend of mine who's a diehard Mets fan. God bless his soul, man. But he will tell you by June 1st we're out of it. And he goes, it's been that way since '86.
June 1st, the Phillies are just getting into it half the time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He goes, your team knows how to come back and win. He goes, my team fades.
Do you think the Phillies come out to a better start this year?
I hope so. I think they should. I mean, granted, their schedule to open up is pretty tough, but I mean,
you got the Braves, of course, the first series.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Reds, who were a good team.
I think the Reds are going to win that division.
Well, I mean, they were a good team again last year. Then they fell off. Mm-hmm. Then they had the Washington, the Cardinals, who always give them fits.
Is that in St. Louis or is that here?
Yep.
Oh, so they go to St. Louis early this year.
Then the Pirates are here early in April. They have a 4-game series against the Pirates.
Yeah.
Then the Rockies. So that's a good stretch there.
I'm going to go to. Matter of fact, I think is that that Pirate series. Is that a weekend series or is that during the week?
April 12th. It's a weekend series. So
yeah, 12th. I might have to.
12th.
Oh, yeah, it's the 12th. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry. It's the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, I might have to jump down to one of those games.
Yep.
I'd like to go see the ball. I actually want to go to Pittsburgh. I might do that trip.
Yeah, we're going to have the game where the EOP at the bank will be on May 3rd. That'll be against the Giants.
Yes.
That's going to be a good one. Then they see the Rockies. This is up through April. Then they see the Sox, the Reds. So the Reds aren't as good as a team. This is not a bad start to the season.
Now the White Sox come here, right? Or are we going?
Yes, they're here.
That's what I thought too.
Then they have a West Coast trip. Then they're out to San Diego at the end of April to Anaheim, which are not probably going to be a good team normally anyway. Then they're back here for the beginning of May, which would be the Giants.
I think the Rangers come here too this year, don't they?
The Rangers.
Yeah, they come here because we opened up with them last year. I think they come in. I think they come in around.
The Rangers are coming here May 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
Okay. That's what's up. So
they go to, like I said, as we know, because of Philly sports trips, they'll go to Boston this year, Phillies.
That's a weekend series.
The Orioles series is another Philly sports trips one as well, which I would like to get on. I love going to Camden Yards, and it's a quick trip down there too. I've gone anytime the Phillies will play down there. I go because it's such a fun ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Ballpark's a good place to go to. The D-backs are in town for I don't know if this is probably the weekend after Father's Day, the 21st of June.
Yeah, it's my birthday weekend. My birthday's 23rd.
Okay, so
Yep.
yeah, they'll be playing on your birthday.
Yeah, I might. That
Your
might be a
Sunday
game
this year.
Yeah, I might have to talk to the wife and go to that game.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the ballpark on my birthday in a long time.
You
One
want
of
a
it,
fanatic to sing to you and throw confetti on you? And
sure. I'll get up and dance with them.
Phillies at the beginning of July have the Cubs.
Huh.
It's like every year.
Is that here?
No, in Chicago. It's always
July 4th in the Windy City?
it's actually on July 4th. Yeah, they're in Chicago July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
It's always midweek.
I love 4th of July games, 2:00 games. It's perfect because then you just get done, you start grilling, and so excited.
Yeah, but they always go to Chicago midweek. I would love for them to do a weekend trip to Chicago. The last decade, they've been going to Chicago. They go there, and it's never on a damn weekend. It's always during the week.
So if I'm reading this right, so we play the Braves, then the Nationals, and after that, we don't see another divisional rival until the Marlins on May 10th.
Mm.
So we open up with the Braves, head to Washington,
and then they get all the other
then
games.
It's Marlins, Mets. Oh wow, yeah, 3 Marlins games, 4 Mets games, 3 Nats games.
Is that the if that Mets series? It's 4 Mets, but it's like 2's up in New York and 2's down here.
Yep.
It's a split.
Yeah,
it's a 4-game series, but it's a split series.
Yeah, because then they see them again in June because they'll be in.
Yeah, they have 2 games over there. It's a home and home.
Yep.
So
let's see. I'm on the show. I like hanging out with you guys, and it's fun. Well, we love you too, Ann. I just didn't know. I can't believe McCutcheon's still playing. Oh, no, I think that dude will play until his arms fall off. White Sox did some cleaning. They always do, and then nothing happened. Mike, my birthday's June 30th. There you go.
There you go.
Guys are birthday buddies.
Yes.
All right, man. Any parting shots here?
It's been such a relief we didn't have to look over here to his big head today.
Almost a 2-hour show.
Almost a 2-hour show.
I'm surprised we had the energy for it. I thought I'd be passing out.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sitting here playing with my banana. There's your pat. I had to do a pat.
You had to.
It's right here, guys. This is my breakfast.
Yeah. He didn't tell you about the 3 shoved down his throat earlier.
Yeah. Teeth are for amateurs.
Yes. Speaking of food, what are you doing for dinner today? Or I should say meal.
I'm actually kind of. I really didn't have a meal plan, but after talking about it, I may want to barbecue tonight.
There you go.
There's some burgers and dogs on the griddle. I have the griddle. I live the Blackstone.
Oh man, I got to get me one of these days.
You, dude,
whenever I get a house.
It's a game changer because you can do so much with it. It's not just.
I know a friend of mine has one, and I'm so jealous.
I hibachied one night. It was so much fun.
Oh.
I had just the rice on the side and all the vegetables and the meats and all that, and I'm just making everybody what do you want? I'm like, all right, cool, here you go. It was fun.
Well, I don't know what I'm doing.
It's okay. Stott, Rojas, Bohm, Marsh, Sanchez can take a bigger role. They rely on Harper 31, Schwarber 31, JT 32, Cassie 32, Trey Turner 31, Nola 30, and Wheels 34. Yeah, I mean, is 30 old in baseball nowadays?
No.
If you take care, I'm not saying
mid-30s. No.
I mean, they could. And the way they have these things set up. Let me also remind you. I mean, you probably got one. Who's coming up on our last year? I know it's I always get confused. Casty and Schwarbs. One has 4, one has 5. I think Schwarbs was 4. Casty was 5.
Yeah.
So is this Schwarbs last year?
I think so.
On his contract. Hold on, I gotta check this out. Schwarber contract. 4 years, $79 million. Come on. Here we go.
This would be his 4th year.
No, this is his
third year. He's got one more year left.
For his 3rd year. So yeah,
Cassidy's got 2 years left.
Yeah, so. And they could trade Schwarber. I mean, these are things they could do. I mean, this is not what they're stuck with. I'm not discrediting what you're saying, Steve. They are, but they have a good mean. They have Stott, Rojas, Bohm, Marsh, and Sanchez. are all guys who are most likely going to be playing a good amount this year. Marsh might be a little slower coming off.
I mean, you're also forgetting what's his name too? Derek Hall. Derek Hall's in late 20s.
He ain't going to be nothing. I don't see him making much of anything. But I mean, I think those guys are. I think they have a good mixture of middle, older, and I mean, the oldest one is Wheeler. Uh, JT's 32, but he's still pretty spry. Even for a guy who's been playing catcher. So
still one of the best catchers in baseball.
Yeah.
So
one of the best.
Kibasi and sauerkraut and pierogi. So
that's great on the
griddle.
So
Mike's having a Polish dinner tonight.
That's a great on the griddle, by the way, because you cook up the.
I'm not a big sauerkraut or kibasi
or
pierogi.
Sauerkraut, because you get that crap sometimes. And it's like, it's not just sour; it's bitter. But you cook the kibasi on there and you throw the pierogies on the griddle with it, with the onions.
No.
Oh, my God. Cool. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's all you, buddy.
Pat brought a container of pasta from home to take it to the Wings game.
No, he probably ate it on the way to the Wings game.
I swear Pat is one of those guys who probably, like, when he goes to pick up food for dinner.
He's ordering
a small pizza to eat on the way home or a couple extra cheeseburgers.
If he goes to McDonald's or something like that, he's got a road burger. Yeah, he's scarfing at least 3 burgers on the way back to his house.
At least they have chemistry, Steve, and that's that's absolutely true. I'm not worried about that at all. The only one that maybe has a little bit of a chemistry issue would be Taiwan Walker.
Yeah, but I think that's going to work out too.
Tijuana Walker.
I think that may work out too.
Come down to pitching depth. Do they have enough? Here's my thing: is I'm still calling this. I know you're probably Jordan Montgomery will be a Philly now. Maybe more towards the trade deadline or something like that, depending on what happens.
You really do think they're still going to get him?
I still think they're going to get him. I think they're going to get him. I would like to see Trevor Bauer.
That's who I'm saying.
Somebody had a sign that says "Free Bauer" or something like that.
I would love for them. The dude's already.
I know they're not going. I have a feeling that nobody's going to do it because I would have felt like by now somebody would have picked up.
Dude, he offered to come back for the vet minimum.
Just saying.
He put it out there. He's like, "I'll pitch for the vet minimum. I just want a chance to pitch." And apparently, the guy still had good stuff.
Now, talking depth, pitching depth, starting wise, if they stay the way they are, you got Wheeler, Nola, Ranger,
Taiwan,
Walker, Sanchez, right?
No, it wasn't Sanchez. It was somebody else.
Who?
Why am I drawing a blank?
Hall is better than Cave off the bench.
Yes, thank you. At least somebody agrees with me there. I don't want to see JT.
I don't know either one is. I'm a Polak. I eat Polak food. Phillies bench better not have Cave on it. No, I think that's why you saw a guy like Whit Merrifield come out.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see more Amundo Sosa. I wonder Weston Wilson.
I would love to see him make the team because that's pop off the bench. You know what I mean? Like anytime you got a guy that can do that, man.
I feel better if Painter and Abel were able to.
Well, Abel's in the mix. But Painter's not healthy yet. So I mean,
Abel had some. Not. Yeah, they pitched a few innings and they were good.
Yeah.
I wonder to see what they do because if you are able to go get a Bauer or I don't really know how much I want Snell, but even if you did pick him up, it's not like he would be a bad addition. Don't get me wrong. But then you're able to get like Sanchez into the pen, which bolsters the pen even more. So
same thing with Strom too. You won't have to worry about Strom starting games either.
Well, that's the other one. That was the other one you were thinking of. I think was Strom.
Yeah.
But with Strom and Sanchez in the pen, Kerkering, if Alvarado has a Alvarado type season. If
I think
Anthony,
I think he's going to have a bounce back here.
If he does you're looking at a pretty strong and deep, and the fact that if you can have Strom and Sanchez in the pen, you have guys who can go a couple innings.
Mm-hmm.
Which could help if a guy has a bad start to a game, or and we won't have to worry about these bullpen sessions.
Right.
Game. Starting 5 is not the issue. The issue is what's next. Moved at some point. There has no path here for Hall. Yeah, I'm surprised Hall's still here, to be honest with you. Just way honest with you. Weston Wilson has to make the team. He is Reese Light with wheels. Okay. The Phillies need these young guys to step up to save money. If. Never heard many ifs in the World Series contender. Come on, man. Like Matt. I'm not going to ask you to answer it, but no team. You're telling me like every team that wins the World Series or any major championship, they go, "Oh, this team was, there's nothing wrong with this team. There was no ifs around this team." You know,
I'm just
Sir
here to fulfill my
guys can have
obligation.
bad years and come back and have good years. So if Sir Anthony has a better year than he's had last year, or a year like he had in 2022, it's not hard to believe. Just like we believed that he would have one in 2023 like he had 2022. So it's not impossible. We know it's in there. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, there's going to be ifs. That's what makes sports fun. It's no guarantees. That's where the ifs come from, bro. Philly's the legit closer, but our genius manager does not use a closer, but closer is fine.
Here we go.
All right, guys, on that.
Yeah, on that note, we got to get out of here.
Negadelphia is starting to.
Yes, it's starting to creep in. We're going to end this on a good note. So, for my big-headed partner, who's not here today, Pat Bernard, for the voice of God, Al Zaffiri, I'm Mike Lauro. We will catch you guys in about a week.